What's up guys, Stark here. In today's character spotlight we are taking a look at Asterios, the Minotaur. So I'm going to throw his pictures on the screen right now, and he does have some really cool artwork. And his sprite is a lot taller than I actually thought it was. I don't know what the relevance is behind that, but it was pretty interesting. And his artwork is really cool as well. I do like the character a lot. So we're going to move on here to his stats, and he is a berserker, so he will be effective against all types except for shielders, but he will take double damage from all types as well except for shielders and other berserkers. And he is a 1-star berserker, but he is really, well, he's pretty good for berserkers, especially for like a bronze medal 1-star character. And his stats will go up to 6,037 attack at level 60 and 6,604 HP at level 60. And if you do decide to grail him out and max out all his stats, he ends up with 11,381 attack, 12,181 HP. Now this is a little bit low for berserker stats as far as the attack stat goes, but he does have a lot of attack buff skills and things like that to further increase his attack damage. And his skills are really good. He's got a pretty good noble phantasm as well. So overall he is a pretty solid berserker. So moving on here to his servant skills. His first skill is going to be called Monstrous Strength A, which will increase his attack for 3 turns, starting at a 10% increase at level 1 and going all the way up to a 30% increase at level 10. So this is really nice. You get that really high attack buff for 3 turns, and then you can combo it in here with the second skill, which will be Natural Demon A++, which will increase his attack debuff resistance for 3 turns and increase his defense for 3 turns. Again, this is only a self buff, but for his defense, it's a 20% increase at level 1, goes up to a 40% increase at level 10. So you can combo that with his first skill and just have like 3 turns of pure destruction with this character, and then combo it in with other characters that have like AoE attack buff skills or things like that to just really go over the top with this character's attack increase, and you'll do some pretty solid damage with him. And then for his third and final skill, it's going to be called Labyrinth of the Abyss C, which is a strengthening quest, so it will be some time before we can unlock this. But what it does is it will increase critical start gather rate for 1 turn and increase his buster card effectiveness for 1 turn as well. And that'll be a 20% increase at level 1 and goes up to a 30% increase at level 10. So combo that with his first skill and like other skills that have like charisma or things like that that will increase the attack of all allies. You're going to be hitting really, really hard with this character. And that kind of makes up for the fact that his Noble Phantasm doesn't actually do any damage. But his Noble Phantasm will actually make you do more damage with his attacks, so it kind of balances out in the end. But we'll talk about his Noble Phantasm a little bit later in the video. Moving on here to his class skill, he's going to have the Madness Enhancement B skill, which will increase buster card effectiveness by 8%. So this is your standard berserker skill, just to increase your buster cards a little bit more, do a little bit more damage for them. So moving on here to his Ascension Materials, he doesn't really need a whole lot to fully ascend him, but really you could probably get away with maxing out this character without losing too many of your inventory items, as long as you have those horseshoes. And even though horseshoes are pretty limited at this point in time, you only need 6 of them to fully ascend the character, so you don't need a whole lot of these items, even though some of them may be a little bit more difficult to get. Moving on here to his skill enhancement materials now, he does need some crystals and some seeds, but he really doesn't need a whole lot for his skills either, so this could probably be a early level character that you want to consider maxing out, just because you probably have the materials required to max out some of his skills at this point in the game, as long as you've been playing, pretty actively since the game has come out. Moving on here to his command cards and his Noble Phantasm, he has 1 quick, 1 arts, and 3 buster cards. So it's your standard berserker setup, and his Noble Phantasm is arts, and normally I don't really care for this where they switch it up, where a character will have like 3 buster cards and then the Noble Phantasm is arts. But because his Noble Phantasm is more of like a debuff skill, you're not really going to be using it on the turn where you actually burst or do your big damage. So I kind of can see why this is an arts, combo it with other arts to increase the Noble Phantasms of like the skills you want to do damage with on the following turn or anything like that. So it kind of makes sense to me. But what it actually does, it will decrease the attack of all enemies for 6 turns, and then it will also decrease the defense of all enemies for 6 turns on the overcharge. Now this will be a 10% increase or decrease at level 1, and then it goes up to 20% decrease for the attack at level 5 and 30% decrease for the defense at level 5. So that's really good. It lasts 6 turns, which is basically going to contribute the entire fight if you're using it in like a boss stage or something like that. And you can do an interlude quest to further power this up. Now, the original decreases for the attack and defense don't change, but what happens is it'll add 1 turn of like really big decreases for the attack and defense with 40% at level 1, and then it stays at 40% across the board. But that'll be 1 turn of like really good decreasing for attack and defense. So definitely going to be a really useful skill for like debuffing your enemies. And you can combo that with other characters like Waver, who has a debuff Noble Phantasm as well. And then you could set it up for a big turn, the second turn, where you just burst, do all your damage, and potentially eliminate the entire wave in that turn. So now let's go ahead and take a look at his unique craft essence. This is going to unlock the Ariadne's Thread. I hope I pronounced that right. Now this is going to increase quick card effectiveness of all allies by 15% while on the field. So this is your generic craft essence for quick card effectiveness, so I'm not really going to bother talking about it too much. And I'm going to move on to some of the craft essences that you can use on this character to help increase his usability. So first, I'll quickly talk about Kaleidoscope. It's not really something I would strongly recommend because his Noble Phantasm is mainly used for like boss fights or boss waves. And by that point, you'll probably have his Noble Phantasm ready, so it's not really that useful to put Kaleidoscope on him, where you could throw cards like Verdant Sound of Destruction or Limit 0 over on him for the increased Buster card effectiveness to make his already powerful hits even stronger. I would definitely rather suggest go down that route to just keep hitting really hard with this character consistently. And since his Noble Phantasm doesn't really do any damage, well, it doesn't do any damage at all actually, but since it doesn't do any damage, you're not going to want to use anything that will increase his strength, obviously. So Verdant Sound of Destruction and Limit 0 over are probably 2 of the better cards you could go ahead and put on this character to make him a little bit more useful. So that's going to wrap up this video here. I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded these videos. There was a little break there where I was super busy with work and other things, and I just couldn't make a video. And I noticed that when I tried to rush out the videos, the quality of the videos were really sloppy and terrible, and I decided it was not worth it to just keep pushing out the videos just to have a video every day. I'd rather take my time and make it a little bit better for you guys to watch. But tomorrow I will hopefully have the last servant of this current wave, which is Leonidas, I believe. So I'll have that video out hopefully tomorrow, and then we can go from there, start some new things, talk about some different aspects of the game, or whatever I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave you guys here with his Noble Phantasm, and I will see you guys tomorrow.